One of my favorite movies of the year is Argo, up for 5 Golden Globes this Sunday, including Best Director for Ben Affleck. It's a thriller based on the true story of CIA Agent Tony Mendez, who hatched a plot to free 6 Americans during the 1979 Iran hostage crisis by having them pretend to be a film crew. Here's a look at how he did it.
Good. What's your job on the movie?
Producer.
Associate producer. What was the last movie you produced?
High and Dry.
Who paid for that?
CFTC.
What's your middle name? What's your middle name? What's your middle name?
Leon?
Shoot him. He's an American spy. Look, they're gonna try to break you, okay? By trying to get you agitated. You have to know your resume back to front.
You really believe your little story is going to make a difference when there's a gun to our heads?
I think my story is the only thing between you and a gun to your head.
And we are lucky now to have the first live interview with Tony Mendez and Ben Affleck together. Thanks to you both.
Thank
for
you
being
very
here.
much for having us. It's very exciting.
So how'd he do?
He was okay. He's not good looking enough.
Well, you know, I'm glad you brought that up because I did my research and I read that he was actually not your first choice to play Tony Mendez.
Well, the women are a little bit sorry that George is not sitting here today.
George Clooney.
Yeah.
Tony was Tony's first choice. Okay. And maybe George, maybe Brad, I don't know. Will Smith, you thought would have been good?
Yeah, not bad. We could move the venue to Manhattan.
Okay, so maybe your third choice, but well, how great to get this, you know, this real slice of history.
This is why it's the first time you've ever seen us together.
Right, I guess so. Right. And I guess it's going to be the last, too. But I know you all worked so well together. And Tony, for you, you know, one of the most moving scenes in the film for me was when you receive one of the highest decorations in the CIA, and then it becomes so clear that you're going to have to keep it secret.
Yep.
No one's going to know.
For 8 years.
And now 30 years later, the whole world knows. How does that feel?
It's a terrible thing. Our job is to keep the secrets, not give them away.
But not to give them away, but with time, I think one of the things the film does, Ben, is that to give some perspective on the work the CIA did. And one of the things that Tony gives you credit for is really being true to the details of so much of the actual day-to-day work of a CIA operative.
Yeah, aside from not being Will Smith, you know, I think Tony does credit us with trying to really be fastidious, in particular about Tony, his story, the sacrifice that our clandestine service goes through, the way their families, their kids they don't get to see. On top of that, our foreign service and the sacrifice they make, which of course we saw in its most tragic and dramatic form in Benghazi. And that it's, you know, the way that what these people do in silence and without accolades, without any of the things that we've, you know, I got my 3-year-old. She walks onto the soccer field, she gets a participation trophy.
Right.
And these guys are risking their lives and no one's hearing about it. And that's really what I wanted to honor with this movie.
What is the thing you wanted people most to know about that story in particular?
Well, I think it would be nice if we weren't portrayed as deranged assassins, you know. So the fact is we're human beings and we have families and we go out to a job every day like most people and we prevail.
You prevail, and I love the story of when you're shooting the film. You actually made a little cameo appearance in the film, but he doesn't come alone. He brings his whole family.
Yeah. Tony was like, yeah, can I be in the... I said, Tony, where do you want to be in the movies? Absolutely at the airport where I used to say goodbye to my family. It's very moving. I said, great. He said, you know, me and my wife should be with me. I was like, oh, great, John, I should be with you, definitely. What about the kids? Okay, kids can be with me. He's like, what about my cousin and my aunt? So finally it's like the Mendez tour group that goes through the...
Bring the Mendez bus up here, please.
Really so finally, not only you get to be in the movie, but your entire family does, and you get the recognition that you deserve after so long. And Ben, it's got to be gratifying to you as well. This was a serious adult movie that people actually went and saw.
Yeah, I mean, for one thing, there's a conventional wisdom that says people don't see adult dramas, people don't see movies in the Middle East, people don't see movies that have complicated themes. And so I heard a lot of naysaying. It was really encouraging to have people see the movie ultimately, and a movie that deals with things like, you know, this is the inception of our relationship with Iran, which still continues to be extremely thorny and probably the foremost foreign policy issue for the United States of America, and also tells a very human story about a guy from the CIA, and one where nobody comes out and uses a gun. It's not, as you say, it's not an assassin ninja movie. It's about solving these problems
Brain work
peacefully
saves lives.
and
Yeah.
with diplomacy.
Keep your mouth shut.
And that is the last word today,
There you go.
Tony Ben. Thanks very
you
much.
very much.
Argo is being re-released in theaters across the country this Friday.